What's up? Welcome back to my channel, or for the first time if you're new, I'm Sylvan, and today I'm going to be reacting to Odette's character teaser and trailer. I'm very curious to see what we get in these, as though we have a sense of her sort of role in Chesnaya, that she is both a renowned dancer as well as a Fatui agent. We really don't know a lot about her personality, I'd say, so I'm curious to see how much of that we'll get in this. I'm also curious to see if there might be a mention of her relationship with Ignora in here, perhaps, given that that has been something that's sort of been referenced to a couple times so far. And in general, I'm just looking forward to see what this has in store. So feel free to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, leave a comment on your thoughts, consider becoming a channel member if you want to support me just that little bit extra, and let's get into this. All right. Stretching is good.
Odette,
Performly.
your technique is flawless.
Is this
What you
mother?
need to work
Mentor?
on is conveying feeling
And there was the motion that that like mentioned in the special program that she like can't feel pain or whatever. So I wouldn't be surprised if emotion in general is sort of a challenge for her. It is interesting to think that she's a dancer.
Stop.
Okay. But she lacks that emotional
You're
side.
hiding behind other people's emotions, Odette.
Oh. Okay.
Show me how you feel.
Ooh, show us the real you. Something that clearly she doesn't like the idea of, it seems. What's the dance of herself gonna look like? Ooh, Signora finding her as a child.
In this land of relentless snow
Interesting.
and never-ending winter, what is there to feel?
What is there to feel?
Resentment
Okay.
and hatred.
Ooh, the encroaching ice.
Where do these feelings fit in? On the stage.
Ooh, the breaking of the... Ooh, that's cool. Where do these feelings fit in on the stage? Interesting. Caught out in the snow.
Let's leave it there. Does
Okay.
it hurt? Here, let me help.
Huh. Oh, a slight smile.
Don't worry, Mom.
Yeah, Mom.
I stopped feeling pain a long time ago.
Okay. This last line, I have a feeling, is very pertinent to her character, as obviously it was something mentioned about her in the special program. But more importantly, I think, is the fact that though it's very easy to view that as a sign of the perhaps cruelty or pain she's endured to get to the point she is where she can't feel that pain, it seems like to her, based on that little smile she gives and what's been said about her, that she actually views it as a good thing. We obviously don't know why she thinks that's good. Perhaps it is a case of, similar to some characters we've had, like Sandrone actually recently, perhaps it is something along the lines of that anger, that hatred, that resentment, all those negative feelings that built up in her were too much for her to handle, and so she would rather cut herself off and feel nothing than have to deal with that. That is entirely a possibility, I think. But then at the same time, there is the question of, does she truly not feel pain? Shortly before that line, we have this visual of her slumped down in the snow, seemingly in pain. And of course, this could be more metaphorical. It could be talking more about that emotion than literally her being like freezing in the snow. But regardless, for it to go from this to her mother comforting her and saying, you don't need to keep going, we can take a rest, implies that whether or not she can feel the pain, she is still in pain. And I have a feeling that is something we will end up interrogating about her character going forward, At least that is my immediate thought here. Beyond any of that, beyond the nature of if she feels pain, if she doesn't, if it's a good or bad thing that she doesn't, there ultimately is this question near the middle that is asked that I think is also very pertinent. We have this acknowledgement of these negative emotions from her. These raw, unfiltered, and sort of uninterrogated feelings that she doesn't really know how to handle, that may or may not have to do with Signora and her relationship to her, given the sort of background visuals we're getting. Perhaps it is the sort of hatred and anger and resentment that she went off and died, and the anger towards whoever killed her, which would certainly complicate things for us. But regardless of what caused those emotions, she is now asking this question: where do these emotions belong on the stage? And this is in direct response to the request of her mother to show her how she feels, to present through her dance on the stage her emotions. But she is questioning, where do these emotions fit in? These are negative emotions that I don't know how to handle. How does that fit onto the stage? These are uncomfortable things for me to deal with. I do not want to acknowledge them. Why would someone else want to see them? And it all just sort of comes back to this central piece for her I'm seeing here so far, of her closing herself off and sort of hiding behind various masks, whether it's the emotions of others through her dance, as her mother says, or in her more spy work as a Fatui agent. Due to the harshness and cruelty of the never-ending winter of Chesnaya and all that surrounds that, she has frozen over, closed herself off, and whenever that surface of her shell is cracked, she doesn't know what to do. So inevitably, I imagine she's the kind of character that we're going to have to keep hammering away at that shell until it breaks, and I imagine there will be a big outburst there when that occurs. But I don't know, there's a good few ways they could take it. They've set up a very interesting framework with her connection to Signora, the sort of urging of her mother to be her own person, to feel her own feelings, to express herself, and then the pushback from her against expressing her own sort of ugly emotions. It sets things up for her as a character to be very interesting, and she serves as one of the first major characters we get to explore in this new nation. Someone who has been damaged and hardened by the state of her nation. And I just find that very intriguing. But with that, I think I will move from the teaser now to the trailer. This was very interesting. I imagine that the trailer will be a bit more sort of just dramatic good vibes, but it of course could get into more of this sort of interesting push and pull of her character. Okay, now moving on to the trailer, An Elegy for Innocence. I'm very curious to see what we get here, as I was with the teaser, especially now after the teaser, beginning to get more of a feel for her as a character. I'm very excited to see what potentially they do with the sort of dual swans imagery they've been doing for her, as that very much also plays into what I was talking about in the teaser. But I'll save diving into that for after the trailer, as it's entirely possible we might get into a bit of that within the trailer itself. So let's just get started. Ooh. The lighting and sort of fidelity of this is already sort of crazy. Once again, we start with her stretching, though. Oh, lovely. Okay, we're seeing her Fatui side here. Jesus! You okay there, Odette? I guess you can't feel pain, but... Yeah, just the interflow between the dance and the fighting. The two sides of her. Ooh. The struggle. Ooh. These sort of thread imagery is interesting. Also, the music. Oh. God, fluid motion. Another slip up, another mistake, another struggle. Oh. 2 different notes, 2 different messages. Presumably a mission and a performance or something. Ooh. It wasn't threads, it was like a feather. Interesting. Ooh, the fire. Okay, these are some interesting visuals. Okay, she's found stride now. The vocals here are great. The lighting also. Oh my god. Ooh. Yeah, what is this, like, feathers visual? I'm trying to pull out what it might be. Ooh, some impact frames, hell yeah. Yep, the other swan, the black swan. A dance with the self. And now the curtains open. God, the music is great here. Okay. I really like how they did this. It plays actually super well off of what the teaser was. As in the teaser, we had her mother telling her, give us a dance that is of your emotions, that represents you. And now here in the trailer, we get a trailer that is just the dance and the music and the visuals. No words are needed. We express everything about her visually and audibly through this performance. And to me, what this whole performance being put on by the trailer tells me about her is realistically just sort of backing up what I've already figured out through what we've been told prior. She's had struggles, she's been through pain, and it has hardened her to the point where she is now. But though that cruelty has hurt her, has given her this hard shell to her own emotions, she has also been honed to a razor's edge. And now she has this duality to her. She is both now the expert dancer and the deadly agent. It naturally builds a dichotomy into her character, into her being. One side of her has to express emotion through movement, bring out that emotion to be felt by others. And then there's the other side, one of espionage and secrecy and assassinations, one where closing oneself off from emotion is key. And to have her be someone who is oscillating between these two is bound to make someone very, very confused about their self-identity. And I think that is, as I was beginning to say right before the trailer, sort of at the core of this double swan imagery of the white and black swan, of her and this sort of dark reflection of her, who she dances with in part of this trailer and is a key part of her combat. It very much feels like to me that this other version of her, this other self almost, is sort of everything she has perhaps closed off from herself, has pushed down and away, all of the ugly things that she refuses to acknowledge as she kept refining herself. But I don't know. There's not enough detail to guarantee that that is the right interpretation. It just is where I'm led by a lot of this imagery and sort of vibes that we're getting out of her. But we won't know for certain until the story itself, which I am incredibly excited for. And though I could continue to theorize about a few different interpretations about all of this, I think I am sort of on the money, at least in my own head, about it. I could be wrong, but I think this is the interpretation that makes the most sense to me, so I will leave things there. Feel free to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, leave a comment on your thoughts, and very special thanks to all of my channel members, including Alice Guardia, Amorphous Silica, Dweller, Juna Sono, and Pokelove101 at the normal tier, and Eliolith and Kono Nano at the cool person tier. Really appreciate your support, as always, and I hope you all have a great day. Bye-bye!